Welcome back to the CeltsAreHere podcast. We are delighted to be joined by a special guest today, Daniel Kristoffersson, who is joining us from Sweden at the moment. Yes?
Yes.
Stockholm. Is that right?
Yep.
Good man. Great Celtic connection with Sweden, Daniel, as you probably know. Henrik Larson. I've got Karl Starfelt at this point in time too. And you were one of the guys who first broke the story on Celtic's interest this week in Sead Hakšabanović. Just to kind of kick off, where did this come from? Because I noticed a few weeks ago in the press that there was interest from Celtic. When did you first kind of get wind of this move?
Yeah, there was interest before 2 weeks ago, but they couldn't afford to get him out of Russia. It's been a problem for Hakšabanović because the club wants a big sum for him, big amount, and that's why the deal was off 2 weeks ago. And what I've heard, it was that he was going to start train with Djurgården on Monday, so he maybe could come back. But then he said no, because Celtic are in the race again, and they are very close to agreement with Ruben Kazan, so that's why he didn't come back to train with Djurgården as first was decided. So that's how it is now, and I think the deal will be done. I would be very surprised if he doesn't show up in Glasgow the upcoming days, but you never know. The last thing I heard was that the agreement was very close. So yeah, I think if the deal goes through, I think it's a fantastic move for Hakšabanović. I think what I've heard, he wanted to go to Celtic badly. He have seen the Swedish player who has been there before, Mikael Lustig, Karl Starfelt, Johan Mjällby, Henrik Larson. So yeah, and also the chance to get to play Champions League was I think that's why he wants a move very badly.
Yeah, Celtic obviously straight in this year, unlike previous years where we've had to go through qualifying rounds. Just to kind of go back to Djurgårdens, am I correct in saying that it was there on loan for a spell when the Russian clubs were forced to kind of move players out? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when he signed for Djurgården, it was a big surprise because we thought that Sead Hakšabanović is too good for Allsvenskan. He's too big player to play in Djurgården, and also it was a surprise because he had played in Norrköping before. But I know he has a good relationship with the sporting director in Djurgården, Bosse Andersson. So he managed to get a loan deal and for a short time. And the Djurgården fans was delighted to have a player like him, and he shown he was a little bit, he hadn't played games for a while when he came, but when he was at best, he's dominated the games, and he was very, very good for Djurgården. So I know that Djurgården fans was still hoping that for a couple of days is still hoping that it could be a chance for him. He hasn't signed anywhere. He hasn't been officially presented as a player somewhere. So I know that they had a hope that he would play for Djurgården, but now it seems like they have accepted that he's too good for Allsvenskan and Swedish football, and Celtic would be a match made in heaven, if you say so.
Yeah, it's a league he appears to know quite well, having played for a few different teams in Sweden. Has he been staying in Sweden after everything that's happened in Russia? Has he went back to live in Sweden? I know he represents Montenegro.
And he has been. I think when he ended the loan deal in Djurgården, he was back to Montenegro, I think, for vacation or something. But he has has a good connection with Sweden, and in 2017 every was in here in Sweden was very we thought it was a pity that he chose to play for Montenegro, because in 2017 Hakšabanović, when he played in Halmstad, was ranked as the second best talented player after Alexander Isak. So it was a very blow for Swedish football that he chose to play for Montenegro. And I know that the Swedish national team has learned from that, because they haven't for like 5 years ago, the Swedish FA hasn't had that many connections with the players who can play for 2 or 3 countries. And when Hakšabanović chose to play for Montenegro, it was like a wake-up call for whole the Swedish FA, because seeing a such talented player who has played for Swedish under-17, under-19, go away to play for Montenegro, it was a big it's a waste for Swedish football. So then they started to have more like connection with the players who could play for 3 or 4 countries. They started to call them, started to have connections with they started to call connections with the family and stuff like that. So they have learned a big lesson from that.
Yeah, you spoke about his time at Hampstead, and that obviously got him his move to the Premier League and to West Ham, but he kind of failed to make an impact there. It was a loan move to Spain. I might be right in saying that he went back to Sweden at the time. Why do you think it didn't work out for him in England? Do you think he was just too young? Too young at that point in time?
I mean, to Halmstad, then they were a team like who was if you say the bottom of the Allsvenskan, maybe top of the second division. It was a too big step. It is a way too big step for Hakšabanović. Then he was a fantastic, talented player then. But if you look at the squad West Ham had, then it was very, very good players there. Arnautovic, they had bought players for like millions of millions. So of course, when you get the contract from Premier League and West Ham as a young Swedish player playing in Allsvenskan, that's not many players will have that opportunity. So I understand that he said no, but if you look back, I thought that he should be maybe a move to Holland or something like that. Then not a big club like West Ham, and the Premier League was too big. So and then a loan spent to Malaga. It wasn't a success there, but then he came back to Norrköping and dominated. He was outstanding in Allsvenskan. His international touch, good technique, pace, everything. He was too good for Allsvenskan even 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, you say about that move back to Sweden from West Ham, then obviously made the move to Ruben Kazan. From what you've said there, I take that move to Russia came at no surprise for anybody that was watching him because of his talent.
No, it was a surprise. Then it was the talking about even bigger clubs. Then maybe a move back to Premier League, and there was some interest from the bottom half of the Premier League. I know it has some interest in Turkey. It was rumors about Spain, but he got to Russia. Of course, it was the biggest sale it was the second biggest transfer in the Allsvenska history. He went for, I think, £6 million. That was the second biggest after Alexander Isak. Alexander Isak's move to Borussia Dortmund. So it was very big news here, big money for him and Ruben Kazan, and he had a pretty good time, I think, in Russia. But there have been some chaotic years there also. So I think it was big news then, and he had a fantastic spell in Allsvenskan.
Yeah, and just with the combination of factors that have happened in recent months, he has that chance to now move on from Russia. Do you think that Celtic's going to get a bit of a cut price deal just because of the situation that Ruben Kazan possibly find themselves in at this point in time?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I know he's valued much higher than the price tag is now for Celtic. They're desperate for money in Ruben Kazan. They have been relegated. If you heard the president or the sporting director speak, you see, you can read between the lines that they need money. So I think it will be a bargain for Celtic. They've had but I know that there was another price tag some weeks ago, but they realized that if we're going to get some money, we have to let him go for not the market value of him has to be lower.
Yeah, and as you say, he wants to move, so that kind of
Exactly. He's
speeds the process up.
pushing for a move, yeah.
Yeah, and Celtic obviously have had previous dealing with Ruben Kazan, as that was where Carl Starfelt made the move from. So hopefully that might have added
Yeah.
a wee bit extra in. Just in terms of his time at Ruben Kazan, where would you say he plays well? What position would you say he's most suited to, or is he one of these players that can play anywhere and will
Yeah,
turn up in the big games?
Yeah, he can play anywhere on the midfield, I think. But of course, it's an offensive position. He can play on the wing. He's very good when he can getting sort of a free role from the wing and came into the central. He can play as number 10. He can play just left and both left and the right wing. He can play attacker also in central, but that's not his good position. He should play as a playmaker or a winger who can good. He has good technique, good passing, can set up goals. He has good his good technique and can shoot well. And I think they can use him in every offensive position in attack.
Yeah, I think something that the Celtic manager Ange Postecoglou was talking about was bringing in a versatile player, and I think he suits that bill at this point in time. Celtic do have quite a lot of very good wingers just now, but since Tom Rogic left, he's not found a club yet. Celtic are kind of probably a bit short, certainly as a playmaker, a kind of number 10, as you would call it, in attacking midfield. But I think over the course of a season, with how many games Celtic are going to have to play, Champions League and domestically, I think his profile probably suits the club perfectly, because I think from everything that you've said so far, he's going to challenge. He's hungry, and at 23, he's probably still got a good bit of time to develop.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think Celtic is just a step for him to develop, play in the Champions League, and he can be sold for from Celtic in 1 or 2 years for very, very big money, because what I've seen, also the Scottish League is good. Celtic is a fantastic team, but I think he's if in 2 or 2 years he can go to a Premier League club and like £10 million or £20 million if he got it well. And I think Celtic is a perfect step for him. It's not too big step from Russia to go to Celtic. He gets the chance to win titles. He gets the chance to play in Europe, show his talent for other clubs. And Celtic have had the history of selling players abroad for big money. So yeah, perfect step for him.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of Celtic's main aims, is to bring players in, develop them, and then try and move them on. And his profile suits that. Do you think it'll bother him at all that he's coming into a side that there all probably is players who are already, likely to start games? He's probably happy to go in there and challenge them, and will be happy for that challenge.
Yeah, I think so, and he's easy trained also. I think when it comes to Djurgården, it took some games to him to be match fit, to be the best of Sead Hakšabanović. But I think he needs some weeks to get in shape. He hasn't played football games 90 minutes for some time. So, but I think that time I think the coach will let him have if the deal goes through. I think. He's the guy who's working hard. Also, his mentality is very strong. He is, if you speak to his teammates in Djurgården, he's always training extra, always standing maybe alone after the trainings to train on set pieces and everything. So fantastic mentality of the player, and a little bit of Swedish mentality also. Always set the team first, always work hard for the team, and never give up. So it's a little bit of you can not in any way compare him to Johan Mjällby in playing style and handling the ball or stuff like that. But if you can compare the mentality, I think maybe Johan Mjällby is an exception with the mentality, but maybe a little bit like him with the mentality Sead had.
Yeah, I actually interviewed Chris Sutton a couple of weeks ago, and he'd put Johan Mjällby down as the hardest trainer at the club, always up front, and he obviously the king of kings, Larson, is a phenomenal trailer. So it seems to be a kind of a Swedish trait. You mentioned set pieces there. Is he a bit of a set piece expert?
Yeah, but not a pieces expert as what do you say, Ronaldinho or like someone who's, but he has a good foot. Has a good. He can corners. He took in Norrköping. He took free kicks. But yeah, set pieces expert maybe is I would not say, but he's good at set pieces. They get a good serve there, if you say so.
Yeah, that will do us, I think. Just in terms of that mentality, Ange Postecoglou places a big emphasis on character, the right profile, the right kind of player. Do you think that will fit with what Ange has been saying? You've spoken there about his desire to improve, get better. This deal kind of seems like a match made in heaven from everything you've said there.
Yeah, I think so also, because I think it seems like they have done their research good of Sead Hakšabanović, because if you look at the team he was in Djurgården, they're pretty much built in the same way. You know, the sporting director Bosse Andersson and the coaches Thomas Lagerlöf and Kim Bergstrand always brings in players with the right mentality. They look, of course, they look at his quality on the football field, and of course they look at how talented they are. But as much as they look at that, they look maybe even more that they are team players. They came in because Djurgården is known in Sweden not for the individual talented of the players or base their team success on one or two players. Djurgården is known in years ago or the years now to build the team spirit, that they work hard for each other. The mentality of the players should be right. So I think in that way he comes to pretty much the same coach, and that's a very good sign for Celtic.
Yeah, I think his stats looking that he's that short loan spell was 11 appearances, two goals, 2 assists. So contributing a decent part to the team. That's only hopefully going to get better the more game time he gets. Someone who was linked with Celtic early on in the transfer window. You'll know this, being a football reporter, there's always going to be links. I think it was just natural that Jordan Larson was going to be linked with Celtic due to his dad and whatnot. How would you compare both players? Very different. I know Jordan Larson likes to play through the middle a lot more, but how would you compare both of these? Because it's probably a question that some Celtic fans will be wondering.
Yeah, I think Jordan Larson is more a bit of a striker, a goal getter, and not so, what do you say, versatile. Sead Hakšabanović can have a good serve. He can take corners. He can take set pieces. He can play in the attack. He can play in the wings. He's more versatile there. He can go in many other positions. He has more developed, if you say. I would say the passing game cannot be compared to Sead Hakšabanović. Has a fantastic view of the game. So I think the speed is pretty much the same. Jordan Larson have good speed. He's fast. Sead Hakšabanović is also fast, but Sead Hakšabanović I always compare with a good Eden Hazard. He has the step and the way to. Not Eden Hazard as he plays now, I would say, but when he was as his best, the pace and the chance to go behind his guy and the competitors. I think that you can compare them, but it's hard to compare Jordan Larson with Sead Hakšabanović. I would think Sead Hakšabanović is a one step up, if you say so, in terms of passing, in terms of deliver his teammates in a good position.
Yeah, that kind of suits, I think, everything that Celtic will be looking for and trying to get out of him. Just in terms of his kind of career overall, before we kind of wrap up, he's had all these loan moves out. There's been very short stints at different clubs. Do you think this just might be the right time for him just now at 23 to go somewhere, whether it's for 2 years, 3 years, be settled, have a coach in Ange Postecoglou, who I'm sure will have faith in him, develop his game, and get better as a player, improve, and then, as you said earlier on, maybe look for that bigger move elsewhere in the coming years?
Yeah, I think the best thing for Sead Hakšabanović is to write a long-term contract. 4 or 5 years would be the best thing for him, so he can settle down. He can get some calm in his career, not go from he has been on loan spells, he's been on Norrköping, Djurgården. I think now what he's looking for is to get a little bit settled down, sign a long-term contract so he can get confident, so you don't feel the hurry to develop fast and deliver, so he can take time to develop in a long term. So I think it would be great for him to sign 4 or 5 years. That would be the best for him.
Yeah, I think probably Celtic might use him in various different positions. Do you think it'll be quite seamless moving, say, in a game, if he maybe starts on the left-hand side, be able to move into that right-hand side in the game throughout? It's something that Celtic do just now, where the left winger and the right winger switch halfway through the game. Do you think that's something he'd be quite comfortable with?
Yeah, I think so. I think also the wing position is his main where he's the strongest, so we can go through his guy and go through the competitors, and he could also if he got the freedom to have a free role to go in central and attack there. So I think that's. But if he's he will start at the wing, I think is the best for him.
Yeah, and hopefully we will see him in the coming weeks if he does get that deal over the line. As you say, I'm sure it'll take him a wee bit of time to get up to speed if he's not been playing football. But Daniel, I can only thank you for your time this afternoon and joining me on the CeltsAreHere podcast. Hopefully we get him in, and I'm sure you'll be keeping us up to date with updates on Twitter if people aren't following you. Your name's here to follow. So Daniel in Stockholm, thank you for joining me on the CeltsAreHere